Oh, God. Alright. Hello. I'm going to give you my speech about my stuff, so don't laugh because I kind of have to be like this. Okay? Alright, so. Hi, my name is Lauren Hari, and today I'm going to give you a speech on the Disney animated movies of our childhood. So the first question I have to ask you guys is, what is your favorite Disney movie? Preferably, what is your favorite Disney movie that you saw when you were a kid? For example, my personal favorite is The Lion King. It was the first movie I saw in theaters, and there's just so many things about that film. Simba's my favorite character. I love the music. I love everything about it. So, getting suggestions. Okay, awesome. So the main things I'm going to talk about in my speech today is the success of this period known as the Disney Renaissance, this period of really successful Disney filmmaking, animated films. Basically the reasons for that success, the great stories and lessons in the movies, the epic music that was in them, and then the impact that this success then had on the industry and on us as the audience. Alright, first I'm going to give you a little background. So there was this period between 1988 and 2000 where, in a relatively short period of time, a massive number of successful Disney animated films came out. This is also known as the third golden age of Disney animation. There was two other golden ages in the 30s and the 50s. And it included these 10 films: The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, Pocahontas, Toy Story, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, Tarzan, and Mulan. So really, where do we get these stories from that these movies are? The first answer would be history, but first there's this little quote by Walt Disney. Walt obviously thought that animation was this amazing thing. He was really the first person to get into it. He was really big into imagination and pictures, being able to express whatever your mind could come up with. So that's why he was so big into animation. Alright, so Disney gets a lot of its stories from interesting places. One place is history. History is always cool because it actually teaches us stuff. I went to elementary school in Northern Virginia, so it was really cool. We could be learning Virginia history about Jamestown and all that, and really we could just pop in Pocahontas and say we were learning, and we were. Mulan, Pocahontas, those movies really taught us stuff. Alright, literature. Disney gets a lot of its movies from literature. This is Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's a famous novel by a 19th century author named Victor Hugo. He also wrote Les Miserables, in case you don't know who he is. My personal favorite, The Lion King, is actually a compilation of elements of the biblical tale of Joseph, and then Macbeth and Hamlet from Shakespeare. So Shakespeare and the Bible, you don't get any more legit than that. And then going off the literature thing, Disney does a lot of fairy tales, and these are cool because fairy tales, when you think about fairy tales, this is the passing down of the stories through civilizations and through cultures, and it's really cool that we still get to do this today. These stories are still passed down in an animated form. The Little Mermaid is an ancient Danish fairy tale. Beauty and the Beast is a French fairy tale. Aladdin came from the basis of Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, and then obviously Hercules comes from Greek mythology. So fairy tales from all over the world. And then we have stories that we can just relate to. They don't necessarily come from anywhere. Toy Story, I mean, how cool is this? It's just this story of toys that come to life when the kids aren't there. Honestly, when I was a kid, there was a couple times I would burst into my room to see if my toys were moving around. Don't judge me, okay? I mean, you can just really relate to these. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is music. We're going to play a little game, first of all. I'm going to play a couple songs for you guys, and I want to see if you can guess them. what movie they are from. And the first person to guess it gets a prize, okay? Alright. Then we'll do this one. They're all pretty easy. Alright, good. And then we got one more. Everybody loves this song. Let's get down to business. Alright, so that was good. Unfortunately, I can't play the whole song. And everybody can have some of the lovely candy. So you could just pass that around. Alright, so obviously you can hear that these movies had great music. If you don't believe me for whatever reason, we do have tangible evidence. 4 of the 10 films that I talk about got 2 Oscars each for their film music. Best Original Score and Best Original Song. For The Little Mermaid, The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. As a side note, Beauty and the Beast also got the Golden Globe for Best Picture, and it nearly won the Oscar for Best Picture. It only lost out to Silence of the Lambs, so clearly great films. 4 of the 10 movies also got converted into Broadway shows. In case you don't know, Broadway shows take a lot of money and a lot of effort to develop, so you really gotta hope it pays off if you try to make one. I don't know about Tarzan and the Little Mermaid, but Beauty and the Beast and the Lion King, I actually saw both on Broadway. Lion King was the first Broadway show I ever saw, and they are absolutely fantastic. Beauty and the Beast and the Lion King are both in the middle of over 10-year runs at this point on Broadway, and they still show to like packed out houses, so they're really successful there too. A really essential part to the music being so good in these movies is the people that were involved. I can't really go into detail on all of them, but you have people like Alan Menken, Stephen Schwartz, Jerry Goldsmith, Hans Zimmer, all really famous composers. You might not know them by name, but Jerry Goldsmith did the score to Mulan. He's done things like Star Trek, the film Rudy that he did the soundtrack to. Alan Menken and Stephen Schwartz worked together on The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Pocahontas. They did movie soundtracks. Hans Zimmer did Inception. He did The Lion King, but he also did the movie soundtrack to Inception, Dark Knight Rises, stuff like that. So you know their work. We also got musicians from the, outside the score world. We got Phil Collins, worked on Tarzan. Elton John worked on Lion King. Elton John was actually quoted as saying that he thought his career was over when he was writing songs about warthogs. Conversely, he actually ended up getting the Oscar for that song. Alright, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the impact that these films had. A little more background on the Disney Renaissance era. This came about because prior to the late 80s, 90s to 2000, after the death of Walt Disney and then eventually his brother Roy E. Disney, the animation department had really gone downhill. It also lost Don Bluth, a head animator, that's him right there, a head animator at Disney, when he left the department and took 11 animators with him to start his own studios. This was bad because not only did they lose the talent from Disney, he also set up his own film studios that then competed with Disney. Don Bluth released movies like American Tail, Land Before Time, All Dogs Go to Heaven, which came out at the same time as all these Disney films and just murdered them in the box office. So, failure. But then Disney decided to make some last-ditch efforts before they closed down the animation department, which they were on the brink of doing. Roy O. Disney took over the company. He took over the animation department. He was the nephew of Walt. He made some changes in the departments. He brought in some fresh blood. And some of the people he brought in had this idea to start this phenomenon of a musical-style movie. they decided to try this on The Little Mermaid, which was a film they had actually been working on making for Disney since the 30s. So they tried this musical style movie. It came out, it was an enormous hit, had huge success everywhere it went. And Disney had just found the magic formula. After that, they turned out Beauty and the Beast, Pocahontas, Aladdin. All these movies just came out and completely revitalized the company and changed how it is today. That leads me to the impact that this success had on the company. Walt Disney Company obviously got a lot of critical acclaim, and from that fame, it is probably one of the leading names in entertainment today. As such, it grew exponentially from these movies. It is today, the Walt Disney World Company is the largest mass media conglomerate in the world. And then from that, we know that they got money. I have here some DVDs and VHSs. Disney, from these films, they were selling the DVDs, they were selling VHSs, they were selling CDs, they were selling merchandise, like toys, you know. They were selling Disney park tickets, because the movies that were featured in the theme parks. They were making a lot of money. To give you a specific example, Lion King, my personal favorite, has made $951 million to date. That's a lot of money. And then what was the impact on the public? Simply put, entertainment. We had films that came out when we were kids that were Oscar award-winning films. They're on AFI, American Film Institute's list of top films in the history. They were Grammy award-winning songs in there, Oscar award-winning songs. These films really, they taught us our morals, they changed who we are, and they really influenced us. So yeah. So just to kind of recap what I was saying, what I have said, there was this period called the Disney Renaissance, as you now know, where in a relatively short span of time, Disney churned out 10 films that were all major successes. This was due to the stories and lessons that they had in them, the epic music that was in them, and again, it was just a really integral idea, this thought of a musical style movie. And then the impacts that this worldwide success had on the industry, the company, the entertainment industry as a whole, and then on us as audience members, as kids who grew up in that time. So that's all I have for you. Thank you very much. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. Let me know what you thought. Bye.